You can't just be saying all these crazy wild things like la 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 like. Now, finally, when it comes to modesty, the last thing that we're going to mention, inshallah ta'ala, is follow guidelines. All right, there are a lot of guidelines that we need to follow, and there are a lot of guidelines that we can keep in mind when it comes to dressing and when it comes to interacting. And when it comes to dressing, what can really help us is if we really just focus on, once again, our intention. If we're dressing to reveal or if we're dressing to conceal, right? And that's very important. And don't always just fall into this, be like, okay, my body is physically covered, right? Then I'm being modest, I'm doing what I have to do. If you're wearing tight clothes, if you're wearing clothes that draw attention to certain areas of your body, like let's say if you're wearing a t-shirt and there are words or a certain font on the chest area or something, and if you're a girl, or if you're a boy and you have certain font on the chest area and the shirt's a little tight and you're drawing attention to your chest with the words as well, then that's something that we really need to be careful about, because once again, we can never fool Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when it comes to being modest with our clothing, the guidelines that we need to follow is that our clothes should be loose, they should cover the parts of our body that need to be covered, and once again, we should be focused on dressing to conceal, not to reveal. And we shouldn't be trying to attract attention with the way that we dress, because that attention, more often than not, is more likely to get you sins than to get you good deeds. So those are guidelines to keep in mind when it comes to dressing. And when it comes to interacting, whether this is with girls or with guys, you're interacting with the same sex or if you're interacting with the opposite sex, you always need to keep in mind that you need to be respectful as possible, right? You always have to keep in mind that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching. So yes, definitely be respectful because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching. It doesn't matter if you're with your friends. It doesn't matter if you're with, your cousins, if you're with your siblings, if you're with your parents, whoever it may be, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is always watching. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala always hears you. So you have to be respectful. You have to be modest. You can't just be saying all these crazy wild things like la 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 like all the time. No. You're held accountable for everything that you do. Everything that you say, everything that you encourage or that you indulge. Maybe you're in a circle of friends and those circle of friends are talking about really bad, inappropriate things that are not even close to being modest. And you're accountable for staying there. You're accountable for listening into that conversation and not stopping it. So we always have to keep in mind that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is always watching and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is always hearing everything that we do. And, we always have to keep those things in mind.